आगे की तरफ ऐसा मोड़ा
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Dear valued customers, please note that Survival Supermarket Sheriff Street location will be closed for stock taking on January 10th and 11th. Business will resume as per normal on Wednesday the 12th of January. Management regrets any inconvenience caused and customers are advised to use the Basingen Road location.
This is the news on top of the hour.
Live from our studio in Georgetown.
Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 FM.
Good evening. Welcome to this evening's newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I'm Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. The Ministry of Natural Resources on Thursday last issued an invitation for interested consultancy firms to provide their technical and financial proposals by January 20th to review the Field Development Plan, or FDP, for ExxonMobil's $9 billion Yellowtail project in the Stabroek Block. The bid documents state that the firms are required to consider Guyana's legislative and contractual framework, international best practices and industry standards, and the specific conditions present in Guyana, then proceed to conduct an in-depth review of the Yellowtail FDP. The government said the review must include all supporting and reference documentation, along with the related environmental social impact assessments submitted by the Stabroek Block licensees. The project documents note that the duration of the assignment is expected to be 50 days, with the possibility of work starting by February 7th. A Knowledge Tell You publisher of the Kaieteur News, Glenn Lal, has said that the rushed signing into law of the new Natural Resources Fund Act is an extremely evil act, and citizens are called upon to rise up against it. He also urged that, contrary to President Ali, the new law, which his administration used its one-seat majority to pass last week, invests more powers in the government through the President and Finance Minister to manipulate the fund and also appoint government sympathizers to sit on critical committees. Lal, who had called for a protest against last week's passage of the bill, said the maneuvers by the PPPC government was a well-planned and orchestrated move by the hierarchy of the administration. And now let's tell you, Speaker of the National Assembly, Manzoor Nadir, has signaled his intent to discipline members of the opposition who portrayed quote-unquote terrorist-like mechanisms in their bid to stall the passage of the Natural Resource Fund bill. But elected leader of the PNCR, Aubrey Norton, believes it is the Speaker who ought to be disciplined for allowing the forceful passage of the key legislation, which will determine how the oil revenues should be spent and monitored. According to Norton, the Speaker has demonstrated from the inception of the life of this 12th Parliament that he is biased and incapable of managing the affairs of the National Assembly in a fair and transparent manner. The Speaker, he said, colluded with the PPPC government to rush the Natural Resource Fund bill through the National Assembly, once again demonstrating his willingness to sacrifice the well-being of the people of Guyana. And moving on, the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, or GMSA, in consideration of the government's high-priority agenda to pass its oil-related legislations, acknowledges that these policies will be subject to emergent revisions and improvements. Voicing its support in a statement for the newly passed laws, GMSA called for continued and more participative consultations with private sector support organizations. As such, it was pointed out that it is expected that recommendations from each industry be fully considered with timely feedback from the government to successfully develop and reinforce the regulatory strategies with respect to the Local Content Act and the Natural Resource Fund Act. And now let's tell you, the PNCR has decided that they want to be led in Parliament by their newly elected party leader, Aubrey Norton, who will take the place of the current opposition leader, Joseph Harman. Norton made the disclosure yesterday during a press engagement and was keen to note that even though the party members have made their decision, he has yet to discuss the matter with Harman on the way forward. He said that a decision is likely to be made by mid next week. According to him, the leader of the party and the representative of the list has been one or the same person historically, but this had changed since the PNC joined the coalition. He noted that some compromises were made which allowed for the modification. In other news, a pensioner is counting his lucky stars after his locked car doors saved him from being robbed by two men on a white Honda XR motorcycle earlier this week. The entire ordeal was captured on the man's CCTV camera. We understand that the bandits attempted to rob him, as he was leaving his Pierre Street Kitty residence during the morning hours. Based on the camera footage seen, as the pensioner was exiting his yard and locking his gate, the bandits could be seen riding past his house on their motorbike. He then slowly walked towards his car, and as he was opening the car door, the bandits rode past again, this time stopping at a corner. The pillion rider hopped off and ran towards the elderly man's car, but by the time he got there, his potential victim was already in his car and had locked the doors. And now we wrap up this evening's newscast by telling you that with the easily transmissible Omicron variant suspected to be circulating in Guyana, the last 24-hour period has recorded another 844 new COVID-19 infections. This is according to the Minister of Health, Dr. Frank Anthony. He iterated that young people account for more than half of these new cases. The minister explained that of the 844 cases detected, 489 are persons between the ages of 25 to 39 years. In terms of children getting infected, Dr. Anthony shared that between the 15 to 19 age group, there were 26 persons infected over the last 24 hours. 22 children between 10 to 14 years tested positive, while 22 more in that age group, 5 to 9, were also found to be infected. According to the health minister, the new cases now take the total active cases in the country